Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're tackling a seriously frustrating mystery. Why in the world does your body regain weight right after a fast? And more importantly, how do we actually stop it? We're going to completely break down the biology of fasting, fat loss, and muscle preservation. You know the feeling, right? You work so incredibly hard to get through a fast, you're feeling amazing, and then the moment you finally eat, bam, the scale just leaps right back up. It's a mystery that leaves so many of us feeling completely defeated. But here's the thing you need to know right up front. Weight fluctuation is an inevitable, totally normal part of how human bodies rotate between fasting and feeding. What we all really want, though, is sustainable fat loss, not just a temporary seesaw on the scale. To solve this, we're going to look under the hood of your metabolism in 4 steps. The weight loss mirage, flipping the metabolic switch, the hidden muscle trap, and finally, the protein power-up. Let's get to it. Part 1, the weight loss mirage. Because as it turns out, a lot of those early pounds you drop, they aren't actually fat. Check this out. In a recent fasting study, healthy men lost an average of 11.4% of their total body water by day 6 of a 10-day fast. To put that into perspective, if you're a 200-pound guy, that is about 14 pounds of pure water weight. And get this, that lost water entirely returned just 5 days after breaking the fast. So where is all this water coming from and where does it go? Well, it comes down to glycogen. This perfectly explains why rapid weight loss happens at the start of a diet. The average human carries roughly 400 to 500 grams of stored sugar, that's the glycogen, in their muscles and liver. And here is the kicker. Every single gram of that glycogen is bound to about 3 grams of water. So when your body burns through that stored sugar for quick energy, it releases massive amounts of bound water. It's literally like wringing out a giant sponge. You're essentially just peeing those early pounds away. So the real issue happens when you break your fast and food is back on the menu. Eating spikes your insulin, which is the hormone that stores the energy you just ate. But insulin also talks to your kidneys. When your insulin is low during a fast, it tells your kidneys to flush out fluid. But when it rises after a meal, it tells your kidneys, hey, hold on to that fluid. That is exactly why the scale jumps. It's just water weight driven by a normal hormonal response, not you suddenly undoing all your hard work. All right, moving on to part 2, flipping the metabolic switch. Because once that glycogen sponge is completely wrung out, your body desperately needs a new fuel source. And that brings us to ketosis. This is where true fat burning happens. When your glycogen tanks run low, your body has to save whatever glucose is left for your brain. So your liver pivots, and it starts rapidly converting fatty acids into ketone bodies for energy. For most of us, this metabolic switch flips when we eat less than 50 grams of carbs a day for about 3 days. The change is actually wild. After just an overnight fast, maybe 2 to 6% of your energy comes from ketones. But after a 3-day fast, that rockets all the way up to 30 to 40%. But we absolutely have to clear something up here. Physiological ketosis is not the same as ketoacidosis. I mean, this gets confused in the media all the time. Physiological ketosis is a totally normal, built-in evolutionary response to having low glucose, with ketone levels sitting safely between 0.5 and 3.0 millimolar. Ketoacidosis, though, that is a dangerous runaway metabolic emergency usually linked to a complete lack of insulin, like in type 1 diabetes, pushing ketones way past 10 millimolar. They are completely different biological states. Which brings us to part 3, the hidden muscle trap. This is where so many aggressive diets go completely off the rails. Look at this data from a 2023 review. It's honestly pretty alarming. Without a smart strategy, aggressive fasting can cause severe undernutrition. We see this all the time with unmonitored extended fasts. A staggering 2/3 of the weight lost was actually muscle tissue, while only 1/3 was fat. This leads straight to sarcopenia. You're literally starving your own muscle, tanking your metabolic rate, and ending up much weaker than when you started. And it's not just about muscle mass, it's about muscle quality. Studies show that while people dealing with obesity might actually have more total muscle to help carry their body weight, the quality of that muscle is heavily compromised. Basically, the body starts depositing fat directly inside the muscle fibers. Think of it exactly like the marbling in a steak. That fat drastically weakens the muscle, which is why we see a huge increase in the risk of falls and mobility issues as we age. So, how do we fight this? Well, the clinical evidence is incredibly clear. You have to combine your calorie deficit with exercise, but not just any exercise. While cardio and lifting both help keep muscle around, it's a progressive resistance training program that actively improves your strength while you're dieting. You literally have to give your body a mechanical reason to hold on to that muscle. And finally, part 4, the protein power-up. Let's look at the ultimate nutritional hack to protect your muscles while dropping fat. This all comes down to the thermic effect of food. Did you know that roughly 10% of the calories you burn every day comes just from digesting your meals? But your body doesn't treat all macronutrients the same. Get this, your body burns up to 30% of the calories found in protein just through the sheer, intense biological effort it takes to digest and absorb it. Compare that to dietary fats, which are so incredibly easy for your body to process that their thermic effect is pretty much zero. To really leverage this, there's a protocol called a protein-sparing modified fast. It essentially weaponizes this thermic effect. By slashing carbs and fats down to around 10 to 30 grams a day, you force your body into ketosis. But you keep your daily protein intake remarkably high based on your body weight. So say you weigh 175 pounds, you'd be eating around 140 grams of protein. This floods your system with the amino acids needed to spare your muscles from being cannibalized for energy. Now, to hit those aggressive targets safely, your meals have to be super focused. You gotta prioritize highly thermic, ultra-lean proteins. We're talking skinless chicken breast, white fish, turkey, egg whites, things that are very low in saturated fat. And then you pair those exclusively with nutrient-dense, non-starchy veggies like broccoli, spinach, or zucchini. It fills you up, keeps your insulin in check, and protects your muscle without sneaking in any empty calories. So let's tie this whole thing together. If you want to break a fast without watching the scale explode, stick to these 4 clear steps. 1. Don't overeat. Know your baseline energy needs so you're actually in a deficit. 2. Limit your carbs to keep that insulin stable. 3. Focus on anti-inflammatory foods, so ditch the ultra-processed junk to avoid holding on to excess tissue fluid. And 4. Make sure you're getting enough fluids and electrolytes. Speaking of fluids, staying hydrated isn't just a generic health tip here. A huge reason people feel absolutely awful and retain water after a fast is because their sodium is depleted. When fasting tanks your insulin, your kidneys flush out extra sodium. By drinking water packed with electrolytes, you're actively replacing those lost salts, dodging dehydration symptoms, and, most importantly, stabilizing those scary scale jumps we talked about earlier. Drink when you're thirsty and keep those minerals balanced. As we wrap up this explainer, I want you to ask yourself a critical question before you start your next diet. Are you actually targeting fat loss, or are you just dumping water and starving your healthy tissues? Rely on these tools, monitor your glycogen, find a safe state of ketosis, prioritize high thermic protein, and lift some weights. That is how you preserve the healthy muscle that actually powers your body. Thanks for hanging out with me on The Explainer, and keep learning.